He discovered my betrayal would be the moment everything fell apart, not just our relationship, but the bond we once believed was unbreakable. It happened on a night that started off as ordinary as any other Friday. For weeks, I'd been feeling restless, stuck in a cycle that felt fake and suffocating. On the outside, everything looked fine, but inside, I was starving for something I couldn't put into words. That emptiness pushed me somewhere I swore I'd never go. I found myself in a dim bar, sitting across from a man who wasn't my boyfriend, pretending that a few hours of stolen attention could somehow drown out the guilt clawing at me. His name was Mark. We'd met at a friend's party not long before. There was an immediate pull between us, not just attraction, but a strange emotional ease I'd been missing for a long time. Mark actually listened. He made me laugh. He made me feel alive in ways I hadn't felt in months, and that was dangerous. That night, I lied to myself. I said it was nothing, that I just needed a break from my own life. That one evening wouldn't ruin anything. But life has a way of revealing the truth when you least expect it. I peeked at my phone. 3 missed calls. Jason, my boyfriend. I silenced the screen and tried to act like it didn't matter. I thought if I ignored him long enough, he'd stop calling. Then the bar door opened. Time froze. Jason stood there, soaked from the rain, staring at me like he'd walked into a nightmare. His eyes locked onto me and Mark, too close, too comfortable, fingers intertwined like something intimate had been there for months instead of minutes. The look on Jason's face didn't explode with anger, it cracked quietly, painfully. He didn't shout, he didn't demand an explanation, he just stared, jaw tight, chest rising and falling like it hurt him to breathe. Then he turned around and walked out. I didn't chase him. I couldn't. I sat there, stunned, drowning in shame I'd been trying to outrun. What happened next was even harder than that moment. The next day, instead of rage, instead of insults or threats, Jason sent me a message. Come. Simple, heartbreaking. I need time. Please don't reach out for a while. That text hit harder than any argument ever could. I knew I'd ruined everything, but I still hoped he'd want to fight for us. Instead, the space he asked for turned into a silence that stretched on and on. Days passed without a word from him. No calls, no replies, nothing. I tried apologizing, I tried explaining, I begged him to listen, but I felt like I'd become a shadow in his life, someone who used to matter but no longer had a place. Weeks later, I heard from a friend that Jason was seeing someone new, a woman named Claire. Kind, warm, everything I used to be before I let loneliness swallow me whole. Hearing that hurt more than I expected, not because he moved on, but because I finally understood what I'd taken from him: trust, safety, love. Then came the moment that broke me the most. A month after the bar incident, Jason showed up at my door. I expected anger, accusations, something explosive. Instead, he held out a small box. Inside was a photo album filled with memories of us, holidays, anniversaries, random moments we'd captured just because we were happy. He looked me straight in the eyes and said quietly, "I loved you enough to try, but I can't keep holding on to someone who didn't want to stay." Then he walked away, leaving that album and a wound that would never fully close. Life felt hollow after that. Every part of my home reminded me of him. The mug he used, his hoodie tossed over a chair, the playlist he made still lingering on my phone. I couldn't bring myself to throw anything away. I kept wondering when things started to fall apart. Was it that night in the bar, or had the foundation already been cracked long before? One evening, I sent him a simple message. "Can we talk?" No response. Another wall I couldn't climb. Later, a friend told me more about Claire, how Jason seemed happier, lighter, like he'd finally found the peace he'd been missing with me. I should have felt relieved. Instead, jealousy coiled inside me like a tight knot. Then, out of nowhere, Jason called. His voice was calm, distant. He asked to meet at the park where we'd had our first date. I went, unsure what to expect. He was sitting on a bench, looking exhausted but strangely peaceful. He handed me an envelope and simply said, "Read this when you're ready," then walked away. The The letter inside was the most painful thing I've ever held. He wrote about how deeply he cared for me, how my betrayal tore something inside him he didn't know how to repair. But he also wrote about forgiveness, not because he wanted us back together, but because he needed to let go of the resentment that was eating away at him. He said forgiving me was the only way he could move forward. He hoped I'd one day forgive myself, too. Those words shattered me in a way no confrontation ever could. Jason's heartbreak wasn't loud or angry, it was quiet, gentle, final, and that's what made it hurt the most. I never got to tell him how empty I'd felt, how lost I'd been, how the cheating wasn't about someone else, but about running from myself. But maybe he already understood. His silence spoke louder than anything I could have said. I'm sharing this story not because I want pity or excuses. I'm sharing it because some heartbreaks don't explode. They fade quietly, leaving you to sit with your choices and the pieces of what could have been. If I could rewrite the past, I wouldn't just erase that night in the bar. I would change every moment that led me there.